She shows her age. Because there was no dukes knocking down my door, if you know what I'm saying.
I look like a cave woman that's crawled out of the bush.
I didn't need to know he got river poo-poo mouth. Like, that's nasty. Well, hello there. It's time to start another reading vlog. And for once, I do have a plan. Well, sort of. Let me explain. So, I am pretty much known, I would guess, on this channel for reading dark romance. That's my bread and butter. I love all genres of romance, but that's the one that I tend to lean towards most often. However, I want to be a historical romance girly because I used to be one. When I was in high school, that was one of my primary genres. It was like paranormal and fantasy romances and historical romances. And for whatever reason, I just have not kept up with historicals. And every once in a while, I get a wild hair and decide I want to read one or two. It just never quite sticks in the way that I want it to. I've read some historicals, even in my adult reading experience, that I've enjoyed. And I love historical romance or historical settings for TV shows. I love Bridgerton like everybody else. I'm obsessed with Versailles. RIP to that show. It should not have been canceled so soon. The Gilded Age. I love Downton Abbey. Like, I love a historical setting for my shows. So I know that I am capable of loving it in a romance book. However, I just haven't found what I like. And that's what I want to get figured out. I don't know what in particular I'm going to read. So books that I've read somewhat recently, I've read The Fingersmith twice, and I can't remember who the author is. I'll put a cover in here. Keeping in line with sapphic romances, An Island Princess Starts a Scandal, I think is what it's called. Cover here. I liked the romance, but I just got bored because it was so much just sitting around and talking that I didn't love it. So close, but no dice. I've also read a couple of Lisa Kleypas. I've read Mine Till Midnight, which I really liked, and so I moved on to the second book because I saw what she was setting up. Read that one, I think it was like Seduce Me at Sunrise or something like that. Again, cover here. That one was, once again, somehow boring. They went back and forth too much. I've read a Joanna Shupe that I adored from her Fifth Avenue Rebel series, The Lady Gets Lucky, where it's like lessons in seduction. So fun. I really enjoyed that one. That one had enough intrigue and had enough going on. It was like spicy enough that I really felt like it held my attention. I tried to read another Joanna Shupe and it did not go as well because I wanted the Gilded Age vibe. Gilded Age is a historical TV show, if you don't know, that takes place in the US. So that's what this book also does. So it's the, why can't I talk? This one I thought would kind of like emulate it a little bit, and it's the Rogue of Fifth Avenue. Oh, she's got a lot of Fifth Avenue stuff going on from her Uptown Girl series, and loved the setting. Loved the romance. However, there was a side plot that absolutely took over. Was a little bit disappointed with that. So I've had some wins. I've had some losses. I've found some books from authors that I love and other ones that I don't like. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, is there an author for me? Is there a subtype within historical that I like? Is there a trope within historical that I like? I just want to try and figure out what I like in historicals, because I want to be a historical romance girly, because there's so many of them. My plan is to get a few recommendations from some friends, scour some lists, just try and find a variety of different recommendations so that hopefully I can find some that hit. Now, my goal for this video is to take longer than a week. Usually when I like read for a vlog, I read for a week. It usually is about 3 books. For this one, I'm hoping to take a little bit more time. I really want to explore this genre and find out what I like. My first book that I want to read, I want to try not Mine Till Midnight. I want to try Again the Magic by Lisa Kleypas. So there's a couple reasons I want to try this one. One, I already know I do like some of Lisa Kleypas's books. So let's try another one of hers, see if maybe Seduce Me at Sunrise was a one-off like ick situation that it just is bound to happen with any author, right? I've also just seen it recommended a lot. I've seen Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life talk about it. Someone else is doing it for a book club and I can't remember who it is now. I feel like I've just seen it like popping up and it's been giving me the urge. So that's the book I'm going to start with. I don't know anything about it. I just know that I keep seeing it. I will get to reading and let you know what the plot's about, let you know what I'm thinking in just a second. See you soon.
I just got done lifting and I thought, why not update the people? Put this mug on the internet. Back and sweatier than ever. I have a little bit of free time because I'm waiting to stop sweating before I get in the shower. So I'm now 25% into, again, the magic. Well, first, let's go over what this is about for anyone who doesn't know. Although I think it's pretty popular. Sorry if the camera's shaking. So we have Aileen, and she is like a titled lady. I don't really know the term, but she's like from the upper crust, right? Like, forgive me, I'm learning historical stuff. She has a childhood best friend who is like the stable boy, and he's of no consequence. I think he's like of unknown lineage, of unknown parentage, or questionable parentage. But regardless, like, obviously they can't be together. They're kind of treated almost like siblings, so like nobody really pays them any mind that they're like inseparable until they get older, and Aileen's like, I would like to do very unbrotherly things to you, good sir. So they have a little tryst. They end up getting found out. He is sent away, and she kind of like, in order to do it, breaks his heart a little bit, because she's like, otherwise he will come back and my father will go after him. They run into each other much further down the road, like when they're older. So far, I'm actually really enjoying it. One of the things that I think is helping is I did switch to reading the audiobook. And this was something that Lynn from Lynn's Romance, right? Why can't I say that? Lynn from Lynn's Romance Library had suggested. I was talking about how like I don't believe my own internal voice when I read historicals as part of it. I'll read stuff and I'll be like, oh, really? Like does anyone else have that? Like, I'm just some dumb American. Like, I can't really, like, get with this, like, British stuff. There's that. And so it was a good move because it kind of has, like, I don't want to say, like, whimsical, but, like, kind of. Like, it's got, like, a whimsical, fairy tale-ish feel because of that, because I'm having it be read to me by someone who has a British accent. It just, like, sounds better. It's more convincing coming from her. It kind of reminds me of what I wanted the Bridgerton books to be like. Oh my god, I never mentioned that in the intro. Yeah, I've read the Bridgerton books. Clearly I didn't like them that much because they didn't stick with me. But this is kind of what I was hoping to get. The budding romances, the forbidden elements that I was kind of hoping to get. Obviously, like, way different setups for all of those books, but this was the feeling of the books that I wanted. So hopefully that makes sense. So far, I've only really gotten to the point where they are like reconnecting as adults, and Aileen's got her secrets, and what's his face has gone it. His life has gone in a completely different trajectory where now I'm like, it could end up together. I mean, obviously the romance is between those two, so like they have to at some point, but that is where I'm at. I think I'm actually finally done sweating. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll try and update you at the 50% mark. That feels like a good spot to do that. And let you know how it's going. Hi, I'm back. Partially have my makeup on, but I was getting ready to go to the office and I was like, oh my god, I should update you guys because I'm actually further in than I intended to be. I am 65% in. I think I'll probably end up finishing this on the bus going to and from work. So I wanted to just very quickly chat with you all about how I'm feeling about the book. I am feeling pretty mid. I think this is a well done book. I think that it's well executed. I mean, it's Lisa Kleypas. No one expected it to be a poorly done book, especially just given how much I've even heard about it as a non-historical romance person. It feels very much like a palate cleanser book, which is kind of the thing that I'm not wanting from my historicals, because I want to find what I actually really like. It's just been a book that I'm engaged on reading it. I like it. I think the romance is sweet, and I like all the kind of pining, and there's sort of a forbidden element to this because, there's still class differences. I'm just not finding that there's enough going on in the book that I'm excited to get back to it, right? We don't have enough of a plot. It's a lot of they're on the veranda sipping lemonade and chatting. Those moments are fun, and you're kind of having that little oh, are they going to have an interaction? Will he ignore her? Will he give up his revenge plot? Let's find out. But there isn't much else that's keeping me engaged. I have a very easy time putting it down when I need to, not listening for longer than I need to. I don't know if that is just a reflection of how boring historical people's lives were, or if that's just the type of books that I'm picking up. I don't mean that I want a whole B plot. I just want more going on with the actual romance itself, because one thing that I don't like, a heavy B plot in my romances. I don't like that, and especially in historicals. I've read 2 now that have a heavy B plot or a entire secondary romance that's introduced, and I don't like that. I think it just distracts way too much from the romance, which is what I'm there for, right? I just want more going on
with them. I'm getting a little worried about this one only because there is the introduction of a second romance. I think it's sweet, but I also don't want that to distract from like the main romance, you know? Like, so I'm kind of hoping that this is setting up like another book in the series. I want the main focus to be on the couple and the things that they're doing. I just want the things that they're doing to be like a little bit more interesting. I feel like I've yammered on and I'm just kind of hammering on the same point. Oh, one thing I did want to say that I do appreciate is that in the beginning, the heroine was pretty naive. She's matured quite a bit because I think she really needed it because she was very blind. Very blind.
Okay, so the word I was actually looking for is naive. I don't like that I used the word blind. I am really trying to remove some of the ableist phrasing and language from my vocabulary and how I talk, but yeah, I still fucked up. But don't we all? Anyway, back to it.
To the consequences that could befall McKenna when they initially got involved with one another. I will finish this and then hopefully update you if my thoughts and feelings have changed. I'll let you know. And then we'll search for our next book. All right. See you soon. So I finished Again the Magic. I was just about ready to start work and I thought I'd give you a brief update, which is that I liked it, I didn't love it. I think like all of my previous thoughts still stand. It's a nice romance. It's one of those where you're like, oh, everyone should aspire to have a love like this. When all the secrets were out in the open, it was very like lovely and tender. And the hero was such a sweet guy, very alpha still. At some point, I just have a tendency to get irritated with heavy sub-romance, where I'm like, what's going on with main couple? Why are they not interesting enough? Why is the plot or the characters or their romance not interesting enough to have them be the entire focus of this book? Like, why do we need this other element? Why was it introduced? And that's how I felt about this romance, especially towards the end, because it took over the epilogue. And I was kind of like, I don't love that. But I think overall, how I'm feeling about this book is pretty much how I feel about a lot of contemporary romance, where it's like, nice palate cleanser, but nothing else. That's how I'm feeling about that one. So I think initially I was thinking maybe I would try and find something with more of a plot. I just don't have the brain power to like sift through, I was going to say abstracts, descriptions, to find which ones have more of a plot to them and also find a plot that I think is like interesting. So I think I'm going to try something that's a little bit darker. I'm going to see if that can capture my attention a little bit more. One that I keep seeing pretty consistently recommended is The Highwayman by Kerrigan Burns. I think that's what I'm going to pick up next. I have heard from a few folks that it's dark towards the beginning, but not towards like middle end section. And it's not as dark as people make it out to be. Like, it's dark for historical, but not like, wow, Pam Godwin who? So I feel like I'm trying to keep my expectations in check with this book. So that's the one that I'm going to pick up next. I don't know anything about it. I imagine that the hero is probably a highwayman. Is that like a thief or a burglar? I guess I don't know what that is. Well, I'm gonna find out. So yeah, that's what I'm reading next, and I will let you little. Wow, my mouth is working great this morning. I will read a little bit, let you know what it's about, and then give you some thoughts and feelings. See you in a bit. Good morning. So I am now 60% into The Highwayman by Kerrigan Byrne, and I thought I'd give you an update because one, I'm about halfway through and I haven't given you a single update, and also I have a full face of makeup on because I was supposed to go into the office, but my meeting got canceled, so I have a little bit of extra time. Basic high-level overview. What is A Highwayman about? We have Farah. She is an orphan, and she has a childhood love at the orphanage that she is kind of like ripped apart from pretty abruptly because of kind of like violent circumstances. There's like a murder early on, so it's pretty dark. There's some things happening to a child. It's not on page, but it is like after it happened is discussed. We end up jumping ahead. She's now in her 30s. She's unmarried. She's working for Scotland Yard, and she is working with her boss, who is a police investigator, to try and take down this guy. I mean, she's trying to just like help with police investigations in general, but one of the criminals that he's really going after is this guy named Dorian Blackwell, and he is very notorious. He's one of the wealthiest men in London. He's not titled or anything, but like he's got everyone in his pockets. If there is shenanigans going on, he is involved. If bodies are turning up, it's usually him. So it has kind of like a historical mafia feel almost, just because of like the types of violence that are kind of being included, or like the type of darkness that we're talking about. Dorian ends up running into her. He gets arrested one of the times. He ends up getting off and wiggles his way out, but that's where he encounters our heroine, and he's like, I want her, and ends up kidnapping her. So I don't want to say too much else because I don't want to like spoil anything, even though there's like a lot that's in the blurb. Thoughts so far, definitely, goodness, definitely way more my speed. This almost reminds me of a, like I said, like more of like a mafia dark, because we've got like a criminal hero. He's like known for being violent, like dead bodies pop up around him. And the hero in general is just kind of aggressive because he's used to getting what he wants and he doesn't need to ask for it. Like people just give it to him. I have really been enjoying it because I feel like it's that perfect bridge for me. Definitely not as dark as I would expect. Like it's not like a Pam Godwin. It's not like the types of dark that I'm used to where it like really goes there. It's dark enough that I am interested because we have a very aggressive hero, intense hero, very alpha, very like interestingly, there's a lot of plot similarities between this one and Again the Magic. I feel like it's kind of actually like a good comparison to like help refine my taste because it removes some of the variables, right? Because we have childhood lovers that are ripped apart. We have a virginal heroine and a kind of a lecherous hero. So we've got a lot of things that are pretty similar, but definitely because of the darker elements, because of that kind of more like captives, which is like a favorite trip of mine, I'm definitely liking it so much more. So I feel like we're headed in a really good direction. At the part that I'm at, there's a marriage of convenience, and I'm so excited because it's setting up a heavier plot line than I was expecting, which again was something that I was looking for last time. So this is going really well. I feel like we're getting closer. I will see you soon. A couple more things that I thought of as I was kind of like sitting here contemplating life in general. One thing that I really like is that the heroine is much more assertive. She's a widower, so she's used to a few more freedoms in society, being able to just kind of like do what she wants. She's not like being controlled by a husband. And she's used to working in a male-dominated field, so she knows how to gain some control against men in general, and she's definitely doing that with the hero. So I like that she's not like a wilting flower, but also not like stupidly stubborn. Like it's like a reasonable amount of freedom and control that she's wanting, right? The other thing, the hero, I called him assertive, but he's also like damaged and has these control issues and this like assertiveness, really struggling with that, really trying to work through it. Definitely my cup of tea. So that's all I popped on to say. Nope, one more thing. This book's really hot. Okay, now I'm done. Hi, we're in my bathroom. So I'm in the middle of getting ready and she's looking rough. That's fine. That's fine. I look like a cave woman that's crawled out of the bush. I digress. So I finished The Highwaymen by Kerrigan Byrne, and we're just in my bathroom because I'm getting ready to go to work in the office because apparently that's the only place I go these days, which is, it's fine. It's fine. I love it. But I really liked it. I think the darkness levels really helped to make this something that I was more interested in. And I think part of what made it dark was the plot, which is another thing that I think I really need, because based on what happened with Again the Magic, where I'm like, I like these characters, but I don't like that we have a secondary romance, and I just feel like we're just like sitting around and talking, and I want my characters to talk, but I don't want that to be the only thing that's happening, right? I think I need a little bit more plot. I think I like a little bit more darkness. I want to see maybe with the next one if I can just find something that's got like a good solid plot, if that's enough or not, or if I really do just need something that leans a little bit darker in general. So I think that's going to be what I target next, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So I really loved the heroine's personality as well, because I think she was, I don't want to call her stubborn. No, I think she was a strong character without being stubborn. And I think it really was the right personality, the right person to push the hero because of his damage. He really just has a hard time connecting with people. And without her pushing, I just don't think that he would have made the leap to really make things work, you know? I think that her personality was really key. I liked her, again, because she wasn't leaning into that arrogant, stubborn, because I don't know, I feel like I keep finding these books lately where the heroine is both strong, she's just stubborn, and somehow stupid. And this gal is not. She is smart, capable, and she's also not stubborn for the sake of it. And she also didn't lean like too blue stocking, because I find sometimes with romances that sometimes they lean a little too hard into modern thinking to the point that I'm like, I just don't believe that this person would exist in this time period. I feel like you're pandering to a modern audience and trying to set it in a historical setting. And I didn't feel like this book did that at all. I felt like I could believe that this woman existed during this time and how she went about like carving out her piece of her life. Right? I felt like that was all believable. The other thing that I really liked is that love did not solve everything. We still had some damage to work through, even when love was on the table. We also had lots of action still, like throughout the book. The plot ended up playing such a big role in their relationship and also like just honestly giving them something to do, giving them an activity, a goal to work towards, that they're both kind of getting something out of. I feel like we're headed in a good direction, that I'm feeling pretty jazzed about how much I liked this book. If someone told me that there was a book similar to that book and there was just like my typical dark romance that I go after, I think I'd still go after the dark romance. So I want to continue. I want to get like a 6-star book. Like I want to try and find a book that I would put on my top 10 or like get close, you know, like I want like that perfect 5-star. I want to see if I can find it. I'm convinced I can now because that one went really well, but again, not a perfect book. I am going to do a little bit of digging, I think, before I jump into my next one, because I want to see if I can find something that has a little bit more plot. So we have like activity, we're doing things together with hero and heroine. I want to see if I can remove some of the darker elements. So I was looking at maybe, I don't know, Sarah MacLean was kind of catching my eye. I know she tends to lean a little blue stocking or a little bit more modern with her writing, but maybe I can find the right one. I don't know. That's kind of like the thoughts percolating in my head at the moment. That was not a good accent. I'm gonna go pick out my next book. I might take a little bit of a break. I don't know why I'm craving sci-fi books right now, so I need to indulge that for a little bit, and then we'll come back to historical. So I will see you soon.
Another beautiful shot brought to you by a very sweaty me. I went on a run this time and now I can't stop sweating. So we're just going to sit here so I can hop in the shower and actually feel fresh when I'm done. Because otherwise I'll sweat through the shower. Anyone else have that issue? Or am I just a gross girl? Consensus is I'm a gross girl. That's fine. So I tried out a bunch of different books. I asked friends for some different recommendations, and I think the book that I'm landing on right now is the second book in a series, so it's...
Okay, well, if this isn't foreshadowing for how the rest of the clip is gonna go, yeah, I clearly have my runner's high interfering with my ability to actually put together a coherent thought. So first things first, for some reason, and this seems to be a running theme for me, I mixed up 2 and 3. Yep, this is the third book in a series. How do I keep making this mistake? Questions that will never be answered. But regardless, it is the second book, or nope, I'm fired. This is the third book in the Maiden Lane series. And the title, because I never introduce it at any point. You guys, this is so embarrassing. Scandalous Desires by Elizabeth Hoyt. You are so welcome. Oh my God, I need a lobotomy. I've had a lobotomy. Okay, we have to get back to it before I screw up this voiceover even more. Okay, bye.
Hopefully it's going to work out okay. I'm hoping I'm not missing too much context. But basically what we have going on is we have our heroine and she is a widower. A while ago, this baby was dropped on her doorstep and she's just kind of been raising this little girl ever since. But a river pirate that she has history with has since snatched this baby. So she went looking for it, figured out like the river pirate has this baby, and she goes to demand the baby back. And the pirate says, no, you can't have the baby back. And in fact, there's a threat out against you and the baby. And so the baby is going to stay here. And you are more than welcome to stay here, but you cannot take the baby away. So it sounds like this pirate and her have some history, that back when her husband was still alive, he was some sort of captain and had lost part of his cargo to this river pirate. And that had led to some accusations from, I think, the king that her husband had stolen this cargo. So she went to this river pirate man, who I'm assuming is going to be our hero, was like begging him, like just to try and restore her husband's honor. And he was like, I will, but for a price. He didn't do anything to her. He had dinner with her and then sent her away in the morning, implying that she had been. And it also sounds like there is this vicar, which I'm assuming is the reason that there's a threat out kind of against the baby and her, because he figured out that did I say that? No, I don't think I did. The baby is the pirate's baby, in case that wasn't clear.
So he clearly dumped this baby on her doorstep. So he's intrigued by her. He's intrigued by the heroine. But yeah, this vicar basically like figured out that it was the river pirate's baby and was gonna go like snatch her. I think it sounds like they're in some sort of battle for control of the city. That's where I'm at the moment, is just kind of getting past that setup. Hopefully, how I explain that isn't too convoluted. I'm running on one brain cell and it's all leaking out in my sweat. Hot. Okay, I am going to get about 50% in and then I'll give you another update, but it's starting off really fast and moving really quickly. So I'm really liking it so far, but I will see you soon.
Hello. So this is now the fourth time that I've tried to film this clip, and it's just because I genuinely don't make any sense. But I'm going to try it one more time. Let's see if I can nail it, shall we? So I ended up just finishing, is it called Scandalous Desires? Hold please. Yes. Scandalous Desires by Elizabeth Hoyt. I'll just be honest. I was planning to update at the 50% mark, and then I got there and I was like, I just don't have a ton of thoughts and feelings. I think a couple of things are going on. One, I'm just kind of headed into a book slump, but especially an audiobook slump. When I'm like slumping hard, audiobooks are really tough for me to like want to pick up. The Olympics are on, so I'm wanting to watch that. I want to listen to music. Like there's just other things. So I think that has impacted my enjoyment of this book, because it does have some things that I like, but a lot of my notes are stupid. I'm just going to be honest. They're about dumb stuff. Hero at one point he doesn't fall in the river. He jumps in the river. He talks about how it smells like sewage, and he talks about tasting her bitter brew. That's disgusting. I didn't need to know he got river poo-poo mouth. Like that's nasty. There's like a note like that. There's also a note, all of these names are dumb. Silence, Winter. There's a guy named Mr. Picklewood. Like, that's funny. Those are silly names. Let's be real right now. Aside from my nonsensical notes that I felt were worth writing down, feel like this didn't have as much plot as I was expecting. However, there is a secondary plot, and I actually liked it because the scenes were pretty brief and they were connected to the heroine enough, but it also wasn't another romance or something that I felt like encroached on the romance. It felt like necessary information about a piece of the heroine's life that was kind of in danger. Basically, the secondary plot line is following her brother, which I think this must be setting up another book. It's him running this home for unfortunate children or foundling children in her absence, because they used to run it together. But because she's with the river pirate, obviously she can't do that. And he's trying to like find funding, maintain the reputation. I liked that because otherwise this would have been this just kind of question mark of like, she just abandoned this house and this home and all these children and just like, we just know nothing, right? I think this did help me understand, like, I don't mind a secondary plot line, but I don't necessarily like love when it's too overpowering. And I think this was like a really good balance. So that's good. I learned something at least from this book. There is some action with the main couple, right? Because the hero is pirates. We have like a raid and we've got these people that aren't paying their tithing, so we're going after them. And so we've got like some things kind of going on that aren't just like them sitting around. There's also, kind of a suspense line. There was a couple different reveals and twists and turns. I feel like I probably should have been able to guess both of them, but I only guessed one. And I just liked that kind of like tension that was held with the couple too, because he's kind of holding her somewhat against her will. He's trying to get her to bend to his will too, because it's very Beauty and the Beast, where it's like, come down to dinner. And she's like, no, I won't. Or Pirates of the Caribbean does that too. You'll be dining with the crew naked. You know what I'm talking about? That was a terrible accent, but you know what I'm talking about. He wants her to just like do what he wants, and she's like, I'm here, but I'm not going to just like do whatever you want. So F off, good sir. I will say, once the spice got introduced, it felt like it was just like back spice scenes where I was like, I done with about half of those. I just don't know how to feel about this book. I feel very neutral about it at the present moment. I need to stop with the accent thing. Because I am feeling a little bit slumpy, I might take just like a short pause, a short break. Oh, hello. Goodness. I'm going to take a short pause on this vlog and just see if I can kind of pull out of this. I'm hoping this isn't like a long-term thing. I'm hoping I can kind of pull out of this if I just do some like really good mood reading and just dedicate to finding like banger books. And then I'll like circle back up. Can you stop licking me? And then I'll get back to this in like a second. Sound good? Y'all, see you in a couple weeks.
Hello. So, if you have noticed a dramatic change in the image quality, could I bumped a camera setting probably over a month ago, and I just fixed it. So video quality will be better from here on out. I've been wondering why it hasn't looked as crisp lately. Now we know. Dum over here bumped something. It's been a couple weeks since I chatted with you. I've been fighting off a slump. It's been pretty rough. I just haven't even wanted to pick up books. Really hard to find stuff that I'm even in the mood for, period. My taste is getting so specific. It's been really rough, but I had to put the historicals down for a little bit because I was just like, it's just too much effort. It's just too much work. I need something that's easy, breezy, beautiful, cover girl. I have been doing that for a little bit. It's definitely helped. Time to dive back in. What fortuitous timing, because suddenly I get a library loan coming in. I do not remember putting this on hold. Someone clearly recommended it to me. There's zero chance I found this book on my own. So thank you to whoever that was, because it was not me. I have picked up The Mistress Experience by Scarlett Peckham. It's lessons in seduction, but swap the genders, which is clearly a trope that works for me, which is great because I've kind of been having a hard time parsing through some of the historical blurbs. I mean, it's hard to do in general with books. I feel like a lot of blurbs are so vague that it's just difficult to figure out is this character driven? Is this plot driven? But what is this about? Because your girl's 50% in. So we have Thais, and she is a famous harlot. So famous, in fact, she only has to take one client a week. She's built up that much of a reputation, and she never has the same client twice. So she is actually in the process of trying to raise some funds for a low-income girls' school. One of the things that they do to raise money is they auction off a month with Thais. So the guy that ends up winning is someone that she's had as a client before. He's kind of a ladies' man, but she's kind of like, all right, this will be fine. She packs her trunks, gets in the carriage, arrives at the house, and she's like, wait a second, that is not this man's house. Whose house am I at? So she goes in and finds our hero. And our hero lets her know that he used his sort of friend as a proxy to pay for her services because he is a politician. And so he didn't want his name out there and selling his reputation, but he needs her help. He wants to take a wife, and he is terrible at the game of seduction. And he thinks he's kind of bad in the sack, so he wants some instruction from her. So far, I'm having such a good time with this. It's so fun. I think a couple of things are contributing to it. One, I just love Thais' character. She is such a shitster. She's used to finer things in life, so this country lifestyle is just not agreeing with her. So she's constantly pushing for something to happen because she's bored. She doesn't really read well, so she can't just do the normal ladies needlework, sitting around and drinking tea. She's like, I need you to entertain. She is just so unabashed about what she does. She likes what she does, and so she's very comfortable talking about everything. And she loves to just kind of push on her hero and make him blush and just get a rise out of him because it's so easy to do because he's so uncomfortable. And she's trying to kind of habituate him a little bit to this so that he becomes more confident around that type of talk. With the lessons in seduction plot line, they very clearly kind of set boundaries where at the beginning they're like, we're not going to do anything physical. We're just going to do the flirting, the seduction, how are you going to talk to her? How are you going to flirt part? And then we'll get into the physical, which has kind of pushed that off a little bit and also built some tension between our characters. Feeling like it's probably a 4-star. It's a really good read. I'm enjoying myself. Honestly, that's all I can ask for right now with being in a slump. I'm going to finish this. I'll let you know what my final thoughts and feelings are on it, and then we'll pick our next book. All right. See you soon.
Ooh. Beautiful shot. Terrible lighting, gorgeous unbrushed hair. I said, let's put this on the internet. It's the next morning. I ended up finishing The Mistress Experience, and I also had an epiphany. So first, The Mistress Experience. I finished that. I feel good about it. It's a 4-star. It's a solid read. The only note in the second half was that I wish we had just discussed or fleshed out a little bit more about what the actual consequences were of the hero getting together with the heroine. I mean, I think we can understand on a very basic level, a harlot and a politician getting together, even in this day and age, would be shocking, would be scandalous. But I wanted to better understand, is his job in jeopardy? Would that be a loss of income? Does that put the things he's trying to do in jeopardy? Just flesh it out a little bit more for me. I just want to better understand,
what he's really sacrificing, so that I felt it more. I felt a little bit more tension with that, other than just like, we have a difference in, I was gonna say class, but I guess class too. But like the differences are just like too immense to overcome. I don't need it spoon fed, but like I didn't fully understand what the consequences were, other than like maybe there'd be a scandal. That was the only thing they mentioned. But anyway, okay, so I had an epiphany. I was talking with a friend. She's not like a super avid reader. Like a lot of my friends now are actually really avid readers, and they're reading a lot of stuff that I used to read like several years ago. But this friend is not a super avid reader, and she reads mostly a historical romance, like when she wants to pick up a book. And I was talking with her about how I was like exploring my taste, and she was asking me how it was going. She mentioned something kind of offhandedly as we were talking, and it just like, I had an epiphany. She was talking about how there's kind of like two tropes she feels like right now are most popular. It's either blue stocking, where they're like really appealing to a modern audience and trying to inject like modern sensibility into the book, or wallflowers. She's like, those are kind of the most common types of heroines that you have right now. And I was like, oh my God, I don't like wallflowers. That's what this is. That's why I find some of these books boring. Back in high school, when I used to read more historical romances, right? I identified with a wallflower. I was an awkward, artsy, weird kid in a small town. Imagine how well that went over. 0% well. It makes sense that I was like, I identify with the bitch that's not getting the duke, because there was no dukes knocking down my door, if you know what I'm saying. That makes sense that I would like that I would like that type of character, that would be enough for me at that point in time to like interest me in a story and keep me invested, because the story is literally about someone that was like me getting the guy finally. Here's the thing. I'm now old, crusty, and married, and I am 0% a wallflower. As you can probably guess based on my general presentation, I am loud and brash. I'm not going to identify with wallflower anymore, right? So I don't like wallflower. I don't like blue stocking. Those are the two most prevalent types of heroines. That's why I'm struggling. So I need something that lives in between these two. Like, I don't want sitting around drinking tea and just like hanging out around the manor, but I also don't want it so modern that I'm just like, I just don't buy that this person lives in this time. I am going to try and hunt down a book that has a heroine that is somewhere in between, because Thais was absolutely my cup of tea. I feel like a fucking genius right now. I need you to know that. Like, I was getting so down about this vlog. I was like, I've learned nothing. The things I say at the beginning that I like about historicals are still holding up, which is great because I've confirmed that it isn't a one-off, it's a pattern. I finally figured something out. Okay, I'm gonna go find one last historical, one last book. See you soon.
Hi. So, that's right. She does not look so thummish. I was just going to film another video and I was like, you know what I should do is finish out this vlog. So I haven't updated you in a couple weeks. I went through like just one of the most violent slumps I think I've ever been in. Like, most of the time it's when I'm going through a slump, I'm still able to read, but maybe I'm reading slower. I'm not enjoying things as much. This one, I hated reading. Like, I could not pick up a book. I was so angry at the smallest things that would happen in books that didn't go the exact way I wanted it to. I went on a rampage of DNFing. I think I DNF'd like 10 books in a row. Didn't make it 10% into a single one of them. Like, I was just not having it. I knew that I could not continue this vlog in good faith, but because this vlog is already so long and I was kind of testing a theory now at this point, I thought I would just like read the next book and then update you. But I did want to let you know that I actually did continue on in the series by Kerrigan Byrne. I think the next book is called The Hunter. It's about an actress that has a hit out on her and the hero is the hitman. He just can't carry out the hit, and actually maybe he wants to protect her instead. Maybe they come up with a little arrangement. It was a little bit insta-lovey, but I think that what that book really did was confirm for me that plot is really important for me, because I almost didn't even really care that much about the romance. It was like a nice little bonus that we got some like intimacy and love and stuff like that. I was really enjoying the plot, the mystery, and some of the action pieces. So I think that that's really, really critical for me with historicals. The other thing that I have also realized, which I think kind of goes along with my like, I don't really love like the wallflowers. I think I'm just not really super into the dukes, the duchesses, the upper echelons of society, because these two are not from that. They're from a lower class. They're working people. You know, actresses are like revered but not respected, if that makes sense. So I think that is also something that I need to look for, because they don't do like the needlework and
tea calls, and they do other things that I just find more interesting, frankly. That was good. I ended up, after that one, reading a book called Highland Captive by Hannah Howell. And although I would say, not that I didn't enjoy the book, but it just had a lot of tropes in it that date the shit out of this book. It has other woman drama. Well, should I tell you what it's about first? That would be so much cooler if I did. It is about this gal who she's out adventuring with her brother. They're like riding horses, and she's dressed as a boy. So she ends up getting captured by a rival clan. They kind of treat her like a boy, which is great because then her virtue's not in danger, right? Unfortunately, though, that like subterfuge, that disguise doesn't really hold up, and there is a threat against her virtue, which is kind of like a big deal. She ends up trying to escape, and that's when the like laird, or like the head of the clan, sees her for the first time, and he's like, who is she? And also finds out about her fiance, or betrothed, I guess, who is just this absolute monster. And so he's like, maybe I don't want to ransom this captive quite as much as I thought. All that to say, this book really confirmed for me that it's the plot and action and our heroine being able to like get up and go and do other things and not just be sitting around or going to balls and stuff like that. This had so many tropes that are just dated the book. This is from 1990, I think, was when it was first published. She shows her age. It has other woman drama. Every woman we run into is either an old fuddy-duddy or a crazy whore. Like, they literally call them whores. We have a virginal, not like other girls, but also kind of naive, but also strong type of heroine. And I think there was a little bit of instantness to the romance. They hop into bed really fast together. So like all of these things are things that I'm kind of like not crazy about. And they just date the book, right? But because there was this plot of like, why did her dad betroth her to this guy that's just the worst? Why is he treating her not as well? Like, she used to be his favorite and now he's kind of ignoring her. Like, what's up with that? Because it had some of those other elements. It was just a lot more fun. It kept me engaged. I think I've learned quite a bit about my historical taste that I just wasn't sure I was going to learn. Like I said, plot is super important, helps keep me engaged and keep me from being bored. I just don't think that character-driven books are for me. I like a heroine that is maybe not like the other girls, and maybe that's okay in historicals because otherwise I get bored. People who are of lower status, and definitely a trope I like is lessons in seduction. That's for certain. So now, that said, I don't think historicals will ever be a genre that will become my primary. I'm a dark, forbidden, taboo hoe. Like, I like what I like. And so I think this is like good to know, good to kind of like open myself up to this genre and know what to look for next time so I have a better experience with these books. So that part has made me like really excited, especially because, like I said, I love historical dramas and historical romances on TV. Those have to have some sort of plot, right? So it makes sense that that was something that I would be craving and looking for with historical romances. With all that, thank you so much for putting up with all the chaos of this video. We've had some interesting lighting. We have seen me post-workout, which is, she looked like a thumb. I watched that footage back. It was not good. The lighting was questionable. The sweat was sweating. It was nasty. But you guys stuck through it. And for that, I thank you. So with all that, let me know what you like in historicals. Do you read historicals? Because I know a lot of you are more dark romance girlies like myself. If so, what's your favorite? What do you look for in historicals? What do you like about them? I want to hear all the things about your thoughts and feelings about historical romances. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it. Please do. It super helps me out. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I know a lot of you are repeat watchers. Come on, don't you want to be friends? Maybe? All right, but also no pressure. And I really, really hope I see you on my next video. I really do. Bye-bye.